Hello, welcome back. This is Corey here, and for this one, you're going to want to print out the PDF document entitled Reading Charts Number 1. So you don't have to print it, you could look at it on your desktop and follow along, of course, save some paper, but either way, you're going to visually need it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to read all of this stuff and make sense of it. As at the very top, you notice the chords involved. So you notice that for this chart, there's just an E chord and an A chord. So you should be comfortable, if you're going to actually play along with this, you should be comfortable with your E chord and your A chord. And if you're not, that's totally fine for now. We're just going to talk a little bit about how to read charts, so it's less confusing as you follow along in your future lessons. So to start with, besides your E and your A, you notice that to the left you see something that says moderate, and then there's a strange little symbol, and then an equal sign and 60. Well, that symbol that has kind of it's like a little blob with the stem on it, that's called a quarter note, and we'll talk more about that on how to read rhythms. But that quarter note is essentially just one beat, one tap of the foot, just kind of where you move your head in a rock show. It's representing the pulse of the music. That's the quarter note. The equal sign and it equals 60 means that there's going to be 60 of those beats every minute. So it's an indicator to tell you the speed, the recommended speed of how the chart is to be played. Now really you can do what you want with this because you're studying at home and I want you to do what's comfortable. But I picked a nice comfortable speed for this, which is about once every second. This is probably a little faster than that. But that's the idea. Now something you'll also notice is that both staves are grouped together. In other words, that the staff with our treble clef and time signature is directly connected to the staff below with all our tab work. So really we're just kind of looking at the overall structure of this and trying to get a feel for what's happening. You'll see on our first measure that there's a little bracket there. There's a thick line and then a thin line on both staves and then two dots. Now what that is called an open repeat. And so if we scan through this chart looking for the opposite one, it's all the way towards the bottom, you'll see that there is an opposite faced one. That's the closed repeat. So really what it is just a pair of brackets that we're going to repeat whatever's inside. That's the way that works. It makes it easier to where we don't have to write out the entire chart twice. And it also makes it easier for whoever's reading the chart to know that if you learn whatever's inside of it the first time, that nothing's going to be different the second time. So it makes it easier from a musician's standpoint too. So in the first measure we have capital E and a stack of quarter notes, which are tabbed actually right underneath in the form of an E chord. So what that's telling us is to just strum that E chord one beat. That's it. Just strum it. And in fact, to make it a little clearer, you'll notice that, or right now more confusing, but really once you understand a lot more clear, is that there's a little symbol there that looks kind of like an N. And that little symbol is a down pick or down strum symbol. And what that means is that as you play your E shape, you're going to strum that with a down strum, just like that. And so every time you see that written, you're going to strum that with a down strum. In fact, everything here is going to be all downs. So the way that, if we look at, say, just the first four quarter note stacks, they're exactly the same. You're just going to strum down, down on the E, down, down, just 4 times. And then you come to what's called a bar line, which actually is the end of that bar. That's why we count in 4, because it's grouped in 4, and there's always a bar line in between each grouping of 4. It makes it a lot clearer to the eye, and it makes more sense. So our very first measure would sound like E, 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 just like that. Then there's a bar line. And if you look closely, there's nothing different about the second measure. I just took out the strumming pattern symbols because we're just strumming down, and the less info on the page that we have to look at, the better. So then you do it one more bar. All of a sudden right there something's different. There's an A chord that if you do a standard A, you'll notice that the tab notation creates an A shape as well, but it just matches the chart above. And you strum your A 4 times, then there's a bar line, and another 4 times. So a total of 8 times, but you want to try to count them in 4s. So that's the entire top system. Now as we go to the next system, the second system down, you'll notice it goes back to the E for 4 more strums, then another 4 strums, then it goes to the A for another 4 strums, and then another 4 strums, but that final 4 strums, at the end of it there's that closed repeat sign, which means that we're going to go all the way to the beginning and repeat again. So something else to note on that final bar with the closed repeat sign on that A chord is that first, there's a number 1 with a little bracket there. That's over the entire bar. Now what that means is that is a first ending. So as we go through the first time, we just want to take note that, oh, this is the first time we've played this ending before we took the repeat. So as you go through, you're going to repeat everything again, and when you come to that bar with the first ending, you're going to skip it because you already played it once, and you're going to go to the second ending. And I'll show you in just a sec by playing it what I'm talking about. But if we look at the second ending, we have only 2 strums on the A. Now those 2 strums are half notes, and what half notes are is it's 2 beats instead of 1 beat like the quarter note. So a half note would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, or actually on the A in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we would land finally on the last bar on an E chord for a whole note, which is 4 beats. There's more of this in the reading rhythm section. 4 beats, and a little fine, which means the end. And that's the chart, and the reason that we have both endings, of course, is because one ending is different than the other. So if I go through this from the beginning, it'll sound like this. So 1, 2, ready, go, and E, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. Next line, back to E, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and A, 2, 3, 4. First ending right there, 3, 4, back to the top with the first repeat, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and A chord, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, back to the E chord, 3, so I'm on the bottom system here, 2, 3, 4, A chord, 3, 4, second ending, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you would read through a chart. The important things to remember are keep it as simple as you can in your head. With charts and with music, a lot of things are repeated, and so it's nice to be able to group things in a way that is more like pieces that you're just connecting that create larger pieces. So with this especially, I like to think of it in just 2-bar groups where there's an E chord and you're playing the E chord for 2 bars, and then you play the A chord for 2 bars, and then you do the exact same thing again, and then you take a repeat, and then you do all of it again. And the only difference is that on that A chord, when you hit that A chord, you need to start thinking about jumping over to the second ending. So it's pretty simple, and most of the charts that you find are structurally more or less this simple. There are some other things that I'll get into in the future, but for what we're going to be doing now, it's actually pretty easy. So this concludes the lesson on reading charts, number 1. And feel free to watch this video as many times as you need if you need some help, or you can ask questions in the forum about it as well. And I will see you guys next time, so take it easy.